Across the Capitol are at half-staff this morning in remembrance of civil rights icon John Lewis. The longtime Georgia congressman passed away Friday night after a battle with pancreatic cancer. He was 80 years old. A great patriot, Lewis was the last living speaker at the 1963 March on Washington, where Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his I Have a Dream speech. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy was his friend and colleague. He joins me now. Congressman, it is good to see you this morning. My condolences.
Good to see you, Maria. Thank you. And I do want to talk about John Lewis just for a moment, because he lived such an extraordinary life with an unbelievable man. That such at a young age, he tried to cross a bridge simply to give people the right to vote. He did it in a peaceful manner, and he was beaten almost to his death. I've walked across that bridge with him before, and when he would tell the story, he would stop at a moment and says, I cannot remember past beyond this point, because they would beat him. And he did it in a peaceful manner to help change this nation, that no longer do people our choice about which bathroom they use or which counter they eat on or even registering to vote. He made this nation better, and he lived his life in a manner that we could all respect and live up to. And he was kind to all. And I just spoke to him a couple weeks ago. Checking on his health, but talking to him about what's happening in the nation today. Because he did it in a peaceful manner to help preserve and actually create a more perfect union. I think a lot to understand him and live by his example to make this nation better.
Yes, thank you for that. When we go to break after our interview, we're going to show a little clip of John Lewis, which is a beautiful clip and something that I know that our audience will love. So stay with us for that. But let me get to the business at hand for our viewers. And you're going back to Congress will return to work tomorrow, and you are looking at a potential next stimulus package, a relief package. What should be in that package, Congressman?
A number of things should be in that package, but we also have a large amount of money, more than about $1.5 trillion, still out there that we have already appropriated that we need to get into this economy. But the things I look for, the things we need to do, we need liability protection, because these small businesses are questioning whether they can open again, our schools and others. So let's protect those as we move forward. Let's also look at any time you're using federal money, it shouldn't give you de-incentivize the ability to work. We've made a mistake where we overpaid on unemployment insurance, where now it's hard for people to come back to work because they're making more on unemployment than they can working. So we've got to straighten that out as we move forward. I would look at places that we should prioritize the safety when it comes to child care or for our children, our teachers inside schools. And then I would look at the supply chain. If we learn nothing from this, not the lies of China, but bringing those jobs back to America, but also our supply chain itself, not being beholden to China for so much of our critical minerals and others. Let's find a way that we improve it here. And for our stockpiling, I would do that in a different manner, working with the private sector to stockpile it.
So the president would like schools to open in the fall, Congressman. Will there be money in this next bill for schools? And what about the states? Are these the priorities right now for that next bill?
Well, the uniqueness of what we have right now, Maria, we have more than $100 billion that we've already appropriated that can go to the states. I think we can look at ways that we can make that greater flexibility. And lots of times we're finding when we sent these monies to these governors that they've held it up instead of pushing it down to the counties and the cities. I would like to see more flexibility where it goes to the counties and cities in the place of need. We would look at hospitals if they need more in the process of where we're going forward. We also have more than $100 billion sitting there for such a successful program of PPP for small businesses that saved millions of jobs. Now we're seeing that some states have to close certain portions. Is there a greater need for small businesses? We already have money sitting there. So could we use the money already appropriated to solve some of these problems?
Sure, I understand, but you know, the Democrats are pushing back on the president saying he wants to open schools. And I wonder how much of this is politics, although, you know, it is scary for parents to say, we're going to send our kids back to school and we don't know what the situation is in terms of the coronavirus. We're seeing spikes across the country. Here's what President Trump told me just recently when I interviewed him at the beginning of this pandemic. Listen to this. Your critics want you to keep it closed going into the election?
Yeah, I do. I think it's a political thing in addition. I think
because
some
they're
states,
saying you're putting money, business ahead of lives.
Yeah, no. I think the people that want to see the right thing happen, they agree with me. We have to get our country open. You know, if it was up to some people, let's keep it closed for a long time, okay? A long time, and watch the United States go down the tubes. Not going to happen.
I mean, I guess we are going to be living with this, Congressman, but can we actually go back to our normal lives safely right now, given these spikes that we're seeing across the country?
In certain parts of the country, you can. Nobody wants to send somebody to school that's unsafe. That's why Congress should actually look at this. How can we protect when it comes to child care, the children in school, and the teachers? But what's more important, when you look at these recent studies, you're finding that children have not kept their reading, their writing, and their math, losing more than 30% of it. We cannot have a whole generation that's uneducated. So what we need to do is actually put that plan together, because we've got to make sure schools can reopen. And that takes a responsibility what we're doing. Now we're finding, even in California, where LA and San Diego say they're not going to open for the whole year. Remember what is happening here with warp speed. We've got 5 companies that are in BARDA that have a real promise of having a vaccine. Could even be this year. Or the therapies that are coming forward. Tomorrow is going to be better than today based upon what this administration has been doing. Yes.
Look what's happening to our cities. I know you have a bill right now to punish anybody who is taking down statues, but there is a massive movement across the country on the other side of the aisle. Your colleagues on the left, they want to defund the police. Listen to Joe Biden recently. Here it is.
Do we agree that we can redirect some of the funding?
Yes. Absolutely. And one of the things that we also need to be doing is fundamentally changing the way, and I've been pushing it for years, changing the way we deal with our prison system. It should be a rehabilitation system, not a punishment system.
Well, what does that mean, Congressman? Because we are seeing this bail reform in New York allow criminals back on the street, and that's one of the reasons crime is skyrocketing. What is your responsibility as the leader of the GOP to get law and order back in place in this country?
Well, every American should be scared right now, because what you just showed the country was Joe Biden said, yes, he is for defunding the police. You got Congresswoman Omar, who wants to dismantle America. Then you got Nancy Pelosi, who's allowing him to destroy America from statues and on. We have a responsibility for rule and law and for justice. And what we're watching the Democrats doing, watch what Nancy Pelosi just said the other day. She thinks what's happening in Portland is a graffiti problem. No, it's a mob problem that is overrunning. You have people across this nation scared to death. You have young children being murdered because what they're doing to the police department. This is wrong.
So
I introduced a bill.
Your bill does what?
When law...
Yep.
Our bill will withhold federal grants for cities that do not uphold and protect the statues, because the cities have the responsibility for law and order, not to leave these precincts, not to allow these mobs to rule our communities.
Wow.
We have to stand up to this.
It is scary out there. I agree with you. Congressman, it's good to see you this morning. We certainly will be watching the developments. Thanks so much, Congressman Kevin McCarthy, this morning.